Good morning, this is Scott Oliver from WeLoveCostaRica.com. Today talking about some truly obscene salaries in Costa Rica. Now let's put things into perspective a little bit, because obviously Costa Rica is not in North America and our salaries really are significantly lower than what you might be accustomed to in the United States. But here, for example, is a list of minimum salaries for 2015. These are the legal minimum salaries for workers. Here in the first column we have the daily wage. Here on this column here, salario mínimo por mes, which is the monthly wage. Okay, now in addition to these amounts, people do get other benefits, like the company will pay a certain amount that will go towards their health care and their social security, etc., etc. So in addition to this, there is it's about 42% in additional benefits that they would receive. So just bear that in mind. But to put it into perspective for you, a bodeguero, this is a warehouseman, earns 305,323 colones per month. Today the rate of exchange is about 530 colones per dollar. Okay, so divide by 530. This person here, the legal minimum salary for this warehouseman is $576 per month. Okay. You have here contador privados. These are accountants. Again, these people are all earning much less, obviously, than they would in the United States. But for example, these are different categories with different degrees here. Okay. So this one here, the highest with a licenciado, is earning 609,355 colones per month, which in dollar terms is about 1,149 bucks. Okay, I mean, somebody that's working in a really basic type of job, like a guard here, guarda, 305,000 colones, which in dollar terms is 576 bucks. Okay, so bear those numbers in mind just for a second, because in the last 2 weeks we've had a couple of devastating articles which have revealed exactly how disgustingly and obscenely overpaid some of our workers are here that work for the government in various government organizations. Now this chart shows the average salary for ICE, which is the Instituto Costarricense de Electricidad. And here is the average in the private sector. As you can clearly see, an albañil, who's a bricklayer, would earn about 353,000 colones in the private sector and 628,000 at ICE. That's the average salary, not the highest. The highest salary is more like 3,000 bucks here. Okay, and when you talk about chauffeurs in the private sector, chofer de auto liviano, 382,000 in the private sector, nearly double that. I'm sorry, more than double that in the public sector, working for ICE. Okay, bodeguero, that's the same warehouseman again, 407,000 colones in the private sector, 705 in the public sector, but going much higher for the highest paid in that particular category. So, I mean, the numbers really are quite staggering. Here's a peón de construcción. This is just an unskilled construction worker making 343,000 bucks a month in 343,000 colones a month, sorry, in the private sector. 585 working for ICE, and these are huge differences. I mean, huge differences. And the other thing that you need to bear in mind is the pensions and other perks that these state workers get are also excessive. The other big story was the workers in UCR, which is the Universidad de Costa Rica. And once again, we see a breakdown of the average salary in Universidad de Costa Rica and the average salary for the private sector. Again, some of these numbers are simply ridiculous. We've got librarians working for the University of Costa Rica who are earning over 6,000 bucks a month. Okay, 6,000 bucks a month. I mean, there are people in Costa Rica that are surviving on a couple of $100 a month. So these are truly obscene. And we then have the last story about CNFL, the Compañía Nacional de Fuerza y Luz. Again, truly ridiculous comparisons. These here, sueldos, sueldos are salaries or compensation. CNFL is in the orange, and black is the minimum in the private sector. So a telephonist in the private sector might make 300,000 colones, whereas at CNFL they might make 2.6 million. Okay, a soldier, an operator of a heavy machinery. Again, the difference between 310,000 colones and 1.1 million working for CNFL is truly staggering. And in trying to clarify this information, which was given to us by a politician, a deputy, Otto Guevara Guth of the Libertarian Party, ICE has actually denied to give more information about their planilla, which is really their salaries and everybody on their workforce. But that won't last because this is public information. Lastly, Luis Guillermo Solís says, siempre es un buen momento para hablar de salarios públicos, which is, it's always a good moment to speak about public salaries. Now, I'd love to hear your feedback because obviously this is completely and totally unsustainable. And the other thing, again, that we don't note in any of these articles is the ridiculous pensions that these people earn after working hard, the level of arrogance that these people have when you're dealing with various governmental organizations, because they're incredibly difficult to fire, and they really treat you as if, they are the kings and queens of the universe. And, the other sad thing to bear in mind is so many young people getting out of college now want to work for these public organizations because they know they will earn 2 to 3 times more than the private sector. So I would love to hear your feedback. Please tell me, what's the answer? What's the solution? This is Scott Oliver from WeLoveCostaRica.com saying hasta luego.